Hello, Donna here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this little tutorial. Now today I'd like to show you how to make hollow forms with your fingers. Basically, we're making polymer clay balloons. Once you know how to make these polymer clay balloons, then of course you'll know how to make pinch pots very, very easily. So these are some hollow forms that I've made, and let me prove to you that they are hollow by taking and just floating them in water so you can see that they are indeed hollow. Okay, let me take this aside. Okay. Now the first thing you're going to need, of course, is clay. And I'm just going to be using my scrap clay. Now this is Kato scrap right here. And if you've worked with my clay at all, you know that it is stiffer. And for this particular technique, you're going to want to soften it up quite a bit. And what you'll use is, this is all I have left of my clay conditioning block. So I have to get some more from Vernon, but I've been using it quite a bit. I really like the way it makes the clay feel. This particular technique, you're really going to need some clay softener if you're using Kato. All right, so this piece was actually this that I added this to. So I've softened it quite a bit, and I'll show you how soft. Okay, this is Kato. I folded it, and of course it cracked along that edge. And this is the Kato with the clay softener. So you can see it has softened it to the extent and taken care of that cracking issue. Now let me take this and pinch and see how difficult or how easy it is for me to thin this clay with my fingers. And while it can be done, I am exerting quite a bit of pressure to get it done. And because this process relies on this kind of motion repeatedly, it really behooves me to make it softer and to make it a little easier and less hard on my hands. So this is the clay that I've added the conditioner to, and let's look. And it is a lot easier. I can thin it quite easily with a lot less pressure than I had to exert with the Kato that did not have the softener in it. So take that aside. Now I'm going to take this, roll it through my pasta machine. My atlas starts at 0, so I've rolled it down through setting number 1, which means 2 settings, 0 and then 1. Now I'm going to roll it up very tightly. The goal here is not to get any air, no air. I don't want any air trapped as I'm pushing the clay and rolling it up into a cylinder. I think I'll just cut this end off. You can see at the end there was some gapping. So I'm going to close both ends to make sure I don't have any air there. Now let's kind of squish it down and make our cylinder a bit shorter, because the goal here is for me to turn this into a ball. So I'll take my fingers and I'm just pushing against the corners at the top and bottom and trying to round the whole thing. Okay, we're getting there. I'm going to take and squeeze it in my palms. And now I will try to roll it into a ball. Now as I'm rolling, I'm pressing my hands together and I'm looking to make sure there's no air inside. And the way you would know if there was air inside is you would roll it and then you would feel just a slight slip and you would roll and it would slip, because what that means is that there's air in there between the layers, and so they don't want to stick together, so they constantly slip like that. Now, if you feel that as you're rolling, then I would advise you start again, take the clay, roll it through the machine, roll it up again, repeat the process, because that bit of air inside could become a problem for you later on in the process, and you might as well take care of it before you spend too much time or effort on making your hollow form. Okay? All right. So now I'm just going to flatten it. Flatten with my palms first, and then I take my acrylic rod and I continue to flatten it. And today I'm going to make it thinner, quite a bit thinner than I have been. So let's see what happens. Because the hollow forms I showed you, they actually have walls that are quite thick. So maybe you want to make something that's really light. So you would not want to have walls that are very thick. So I rolled this down, and it's maybe a bit thicker than the thickest setting of my pasta machine, which is fine. Now I'm just going to take and stretch the clay slightly as I rotate. So I'm moving the clay around and gently tugging on the center. And that starts bringing out kind of a bowl shape like that. Okay, not perfectly flat anymore, it's a bowl. Now let's move a little bit farther away from the center and stretch a bit again. Okay, so now it's more like a bowl. And from the side, you can see what's happening. All right, now at this point, I'm going to start bringing the sides up. So I've flattened it, I've spread it out so it's wide like a big bowl. But now I want to start bringing the perimeter in, so eventually it will close. So to do that, what I'm going to do is position my fingers and then push them together. So I'm compressing the rim of the bowl. And that jingling is my cat, Dusty. He's my big assistant in the studio. He's always with me. Okay, so you see how what was once a very wide bowl has now become something quite a bit more compact. It's more like a soup bowl and less like a platter. So I will keep compressing the rim like so. And what you'll notice is as you're compressing the rim, of course the clay along the rim is getting thicker. You've taken more clay and you've jammed it into a smaller space, so of course it's thicker. So let's thin it out with our fingers, like so. And as you're working, try to build some awareness of how thick the clay is everywhere you are pressing. You want it uniformly thick, but once again, it is not critical because honestly, no one's going to see the thickness. All right, so I'm going to cut here because we're at 11 minutes and it becomes difficult. So I'm going to cut here and then I will start again after I've done this a few more times by myself, and then I'll be back.